Okay, so let's look a little more carefully at the question. As you can see, you will have 20 minutes to plan and write your response. And your response will be judged on the quality and how well your response presents the point in the lecture and how those are related to the reading passage. Typically, an effective response will be about 150 to 225 words. So if you notice in orange, it says summarize the points made in the lecture you've just heard, explaining how they cast doubt on the points made in the reading passage. Okay, so remember what you read previously in the red sections? If the lecture challenges the information in the reading passage, the writing task will usually contain one of these phrases: cast doubt, challenge specific claims, how they answer problems raised. But if the lecture supports or strengthens the information in the reading passage, you will likely see phrases like explain how they support the explanations or how they strengthen specific points. Here's our hint. In this question, we see the phrase cast doubt. So this hints to you that the lecture challenged the information in the reading passage. So at this point, I want you to open the integrated task sample answers and read each one. This is part of your materials folder in the writing section. I want you to pay close attention to the explanation below each written response. Okay, so now you've had a chance to read through the answers. Let's discuss the top score. Of course, you can see that there are some errors in spelling and in word formation and in subject-verb agreement. However, this is consistent with the first draft. No one expects you to prepare a perfect paper in that little time frame. No one can. You should focus instead on your ideas and organization. Notice that this writer is very specific and has organized his points so that they are parallel to one another. In each of the supporting paragraphs, the lecturer's observation of what really happened is given first, then explicitly connected to a theoretical point from the reading. That will be likely to give you a high score. Your second task will be the independent writing task. So you will be presented with a question and then given 30 minutes to write an essay in response. The question asks you to give your opinion on an issue. So let's take a look at the examples. You might see this on the screen when you get the independent writing task. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Then you will see a sentence that presents an issue. And then you should use specific reasons and examples to support your answer. Let's take a few minutes to look at some essay writing tips. Remember, if you write fewer than 300 words, you may still receive a top score. But experience has shown that shorter responses typically do not give enough information to demonstrate the development of ideas needed to earn a score of 5. There is no maximum word limit. You may write as much as you wish in the allotted time period. But don't just be writing for writing's sake. The raters are looking for quality writing. Organize your thoughts with a brief outline or whatever pre-writing strategy that you prefer. Some people even type their outline onto the screen and fill in their ideas from there. Just make sure to be aware of your time. You want to leave a few minutes to look for errors and make final changes to your ideas. At the end of 30 minutes, your essay will be automatically saved, so you don't need to worry about that. So just as I mentioned before, the raters will be looking for the quality of your writing. They will consider how well you develop your ideas, how well you organize your essay, and how well you use language to express your ideas. Well-developed means clear and appropriate explanations, exemplifications, and/or details. The raters will judge whether you have addressed the topic and how well the details or the examples support your idea. It's important for you to remember that you don't need to memorize long introduction or conclusion paragraphs just to give your essay more length. Just like I always say, the raters are looking for quality in your writing. So make sure you use transition words throughout your essay. This will show the rater how the points are related to each other and the main idea. It should be easy for the rater to follow, and you shouldn't have redundant ideas. That means you shouldn't repeat the same thing over and over again. If you have a few minor errors with grammar or word choice in your essay, you can still get a high score. Raters want to see complexity and variety in your sentences, but clarity is still very important. If your language is hard to follow, your score will likely be lower. Okay, so before moving on, I want you to stop and look again at your materials. I want you to read the rubric for the independent writing task, because of course this one will be different than the integrated. So it's best if you stop and read it now so you're better prepared before we move on to look at examples. Okay, so you've read the expectations. Now let's take a look at the question. Check out the screen. It says, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Always telling the truth is the most important consideration in any relationship. Use specific reasons and examples to support your answer. So this topic supports a variety of approaches. Some people will agree and some will disagree, as you'll see in the sample essays. So at this point, you should take a look at the sample answers for the independent writing task. Hopefully you already have these out for you to take a look. If you don't, you can pause the video and open the PDF file. Take a look at the writer who scored a 5. This person argues that dishonesty, unlike other negative behaviors, cannot be forgiven, and that it can be the most important factor in destroying a relationship. The writer's language is fluent, it's accurate, and it's varied to support the progression of ideas and their connection. There is still variety in the sentence structure, and of course there are some mechanical errors, but they don't interfere with the reader's understanding. Remember, meaning is very important. So if you have a few grammatical mistakes, don't stress out about that. Just make sure that it's very clear. Okay, so at this point, we've looked at the writing integrated task and the independent writing task. You've seen rubrics for both, so you know what the raters expect, and you should be better prepared to practice on your own. So at this point, you should complete the activities written in your guide for the writing section. Also, be sure to read the PDF labeled Independent Writing Topics before completing the practice sets and reflection questions. This will give you more ideas about possible questions that you could see on the TOEFL iBT writing section. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Good luck!